Hello and welcome to the Perth to Paisley podcast, episode number 110. And we haven't had any games. Everybody's flown off to Qatar. So we thought, as we said last week, we'd come back and do a mid-season review. It's a very rare occurrence, but this is a very rare situation that we find ourselves in. So I, as ever, am Daniel McIver, joined by Adam Kennedy. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate, to be fair. Pretty pleased that we don't have to watch Hearts. Also simultaneously gutted that we don't get to watch Hearts. And watching this World Cup has been interesting, to say the very least. I think I'll leave it at that. How are you?
I'm doing good. I've actually barely watched the World Cup. I've watched one game so far. I watched Argentina, Saudi Arabia this morning.
Talk to me about that. Unbelievable.
I picked a pretty good game to start watching.
Unbelievable. Wow.
It's just mental. It is like, right, on the spot now, is it the biggest World Cup upset ever? I'm seeing people say Cameroon when they beat France, as France were the holders in the 90s.
Do you know what? Recency bias comes into this, and I can't think of any others within our lives, really.
Yeah, near
because we need to go back. Like, obviously, I'm 24, you're 25. So every 4 years, you're going back to like when I was like 16 or 12.
Yeah.
Or like Germany, Costa Rica kicking off on my 8th birthday.
Yeah.
So, no, it has to be in terms of, that comes into my mind.
I would say in our lifetimes it is, definitely.
I was seeing that Saudi Arabia were something like 28-1 today.
Yeah,
my lecturer, I was obviously in class today, my lecturer was asking me for the score every 5 minutes as I've got it up on Sky Go, because he's got a fiver on, get this, Saudi Arabia to reach the last 8 at 200-1.
Oh my God. Well, if they play like they did the day, wow, there's a high chance it happening now.
Ken could be in the money for all we know.
Well, weirdly, there is a Hearts link to this because we're recording this early as we want to watch our 10 million Australians take on France. So
come on, the boys.
Obviously, by the time this is out, you will know what happened, as Devlin inevitably has ended Mbappe's career and Kai Rose just has headed everything away. But we will see. However, that then perfectly segues into what we're speaking about today, because we are on a break. So we just thought, let's speak about the season, both domestically, transfers, our European adventure that we went on.
Continentally, how often is it that we say that?
Exactly. And we're going to start with that. So I've split it into 3 sections. We've got Europe, we've got domestic, and we've got all the signings and how they've done so far at the halfway point of the season.
Interesting. This is a man that's done his prep, unlike me, so this could be a rare laugh.
But it's going to be fine. And then, of course, as usual, we have the quiz at the very end. So it's probably going to be a shorter episode.
Oh, God.
Adam's worried.
Disaster. I'm very worried.
It's probably going to be a shorter episode because that's fine. We don't have a game to speak about and it's just kind of general points. So we'll get into it. First of all, Europe. Hearts qualified for the first time in ages for group stage European football in the Europa Conference League. Now,
18 years, if you want to be specific. 2004-05.
What's he talking about? No day in prep. He kens.
It's all up there, mate. It's all up there.
Now, we kind of dedicated a couple of episodes to the Zurich tie about the Europa League itself, so we don't really need to get into that. But the Conference League itself. So we played 6 games. We won 2. We lost 4. We conceded quite a few goals. We scored some what will now be iconic goals. A lot of people had some great trips. One of them is sat on this podcast. I just want to get your kind of general thoughts on Europe in terms of, thankfully, I've seen kind of the general consensus in Europe is that it was just a good laugh. We got to create a lot of good memories. We beat the teams. Well, we beat the team that we were thinking we should beat them. We lost to the teams we were expected to get beat by. It was a laugh.
Is pretty much a fair assessment. I sent over something to you. I don't know if you've got around to watching it yet. The Curry Club with Stephen Paisley and Michael Stewart. And I thought to myself, as I was watching it, they were talking about the club being hours away from extinction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this campaign hammers home yet again how brilliant Hearts fans are. Like, in terms of saving the club was one thing, getting us on a sound financial footing is another. Backing them home and away, I mean, all over the continent, as has been the case this season. It's not been great in terms of on the park, but we can't compete with some of these clubs on a financial footing. So we won the games that we were expected to win. We lost the games that we were expected to lose. We drank loads of booze. We partied in squares. We had various different sing-songs. And it was just a really wonderful time. A really wonderful time. These sorts of memories, as you say, these campaigns, these adventures are the exact reason why you stick by your football club week in, week out, why you persist with them, why sometimes it feels like a dead, loveless marriage where one of you is only interested in receiving love. You don't get an awful lot back, but you know what? You're together because the kids need their mum and dad at the end of the day. And that's what it feels like supporting Hearts. That's what it's felt like this season. And I've loved every single second of it because I've never been in a dead, loveless marriage. So that's the only analogy that I came up with on the spot. And that's all you're getting from me.
That is the perfect way for us to leave European competition with that analogy. So we will now transfer it domestically because every Hearts fan... No, it's great. It's great. It's the perfect way to put it. So every Hearts fan knew at the start of this season that, for better or for worse, being in the European competition was going to affect our league form. I think most of us expected it to affect it negatively.
Say, for better or for worse.
Some people were like, it'll help us because we're at a higher we're playing more, so our fitness is going to be better. I don't think they expected the injury purge that we've had.
These Klopps and Guardiolas in the stands. I mean, it's not like we have the cheek to say that as we run a podcast dedicated to Hearts and mouth off about them every week.
So, laid bare, here are the stats of the domestic season thus far.
Right.
We got knocked out in the first round that we entered in the League Cup by Kilmarnock at home to an Innes Cameron goal. First of all,
I'm already dreading. Yeah, I'm dreading getting back to the Premiership. I say this because we've got Killian Tierney first up. That has got 0-1 written all over it again. Annoying. I think primarily because when you look at it, there was a couple Premiership sides that had been eliminated early doors, hadn't even made it to the groups. You know, St Johnstone, St Mirren, of course, our city rivals, which was a great laugh. For us to have a laugh at them, and don't get me wrong, I certainly did, but then lose the first game that we took part in this competition it's a bit of a face palm, but do you know what? If we had to give up one of the cup competitions, I think we'd all willingly sacrifice the League Cup. It's a competition that, yes, we haven't won for 60 years now, I think. You know, my dad's not seen it. I don't think your dad has, McIver.
Yeah, no.
Neither of us have. So it's another year of really all that is cracked up to be. I don't think we set out to win the League Cup this season. Yeah, it would have been nice, but in terms of the kind of bigger picture, the grand scheme of things, that's one that we're sort of willing to get out of the way. That sounds terrible, but you know exactly where I'm coming from. It's by no means top of the priority pile.
That's very, very fair. Then into the league season, we're currently, as we sit here, joint fifth in the table, 2 points behind Livingston, 4 points behind Aberdeen. We are joint with both the Saints in St Johnstone and St Mirren, albeit we've played one game less than St Johnstone, and our game in hand is against St Mirren. We've played 15, won 6, lost 6, drawn 3. So we're on 21 points. We have scored 24, conceded 25. So we have a goal difference of -1. Now, we'll have a bit more analysis to go into after that, but just on the face of it, looking at the stats, what have you made of just the actual results without taking into account how many players we've had out yet. We'll get into that. But just on the face of it, what do you think?
Do you know what? I sort of need to get the results up and have them all facing in front of me.
That's fair.
But in fairness, what I was going to say is that we would have taken being there or thereabouts. That was the big concern, wasn't it? Amongst Hearts fans, whilst trying to, dare I say, compete in Europe. So, do you know what? We're there or thereabouts. There's some games that we've been pretty fortunate in the league, I think. There's others where we've probably felt a little bit aggrieved. I mean, immediately, the one that springs to mind is obviously Easter Road, of course. I think we weren't particularly great at Parkhead, but I've certainly seen worse performances. I think it was an all right enough performance. And you look at the 11 that day, by no means our strongest. The loss to Livy was very disappointing, obviously through in West Lothian. I didn't think we were great that day. But then the following away day, we win 3-0 at Fir Park. Yeah. So that just goes to show our inconsistency. Us and numerous other sides in the league. I think the only difference between us and said sides in the league is the fact that we've got numerous players that are going to be returning. So all in all, it's decent. I think looking at it, when we get everybody fully fit and hopefully firing again, I think we're in a good place. I'd be very disappointed if we finished any lower than fourth. I would accept fourth. I'd be pretty pleased with third. But anything other than that, I would be pretty disappointed, particularly obviously having had that appetite for Europe, and we're wanting to get back to that.
Definitely. A wee bit more in depth in terms of stats is a glaring stat that This Is My Story has been very keen, rightly, to showcase, is that since the 23rd, I think, of August, we have only played non-Old Firm opposition once at home. And that was Livingston and then Motherwell. So 2 at the very end of the season.
Jesus.
I think that really shines a light on things. We've also played the Old Firm 4 times, whereas Aberdeen have only played them twice. Hibs have played them 3 times. Livingston have played them twice. St Johnstone have played them twice. We have played them the most out of any team in the league, I think, out with of...
Did you say 4 times there, sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rangers twice, Celtic twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, I mean, another day we probably could have taken something off Celtic at Tynecastle.
Yep.
Albeit comprehensively beaten at Parkhead, comprehensively beaten by Rangers at Tynecastle. That's another annoyance for me.
I don't mind necessarily losing. Though, we were in it, but it was the reserves up until the very end.
But the way in which Rangers swept us aside at Tynecastle is another annoyance for me.
Yes.
I know they are. Like, obviously, I'm amazed that we've not touched on Giovanni van Bronckhorst sacking.
Of course.
As of yesterday.
Yeah.
But that was probably one of their few decent domestic performances.
Yeah.
It was against us. So that is annoying, albeit they are a talented squad that probably somebody will come in and get the better out of. Do you know what? 2 losses in Glasgow to be expected. If we'd have laid a glove on Rangers in particular, I'd feel less angry. I thought we were unfortunate against Celtic, but that's just, it is what it is.
I think it does show, though. So currently we're 4 points behind Aberdeen, having played the Old Firm double the amount of times that Aberdeen have played.
Did Aberdeen not come back to Celtic? Am I right in saying that?
And then Rangers.
Perfect. So there you go. There could be your 4 points there and then, hopefully. If we get our fingers out against Killie and actually beat them at Tynecastle for once,
I think
hope
Hibs
Aberdeen drop points
Aberdeen,
and we're writing in about it.
Before the derby, I think both Hibs and Aberdeen play both sides of the Old Firm.
Oh, brilliant.
Hibs' first 4 game back are Celtic, Rangers, Livingston, us. That's their first 4 games.
Albeit the derby, New Year derby will be it'll be at Tiny.
Tiny.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
So they've got a
fingers
hard
crossed
run.
then.
Aberdeen have a hard run coming in. Additionally, and now is where we'll speak about it, the injury problems we've had. So here is the list of players that have missed at least a game for us this season.
Do you want me to hold up my fingers so that we can get a
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
because I don't have the list in terms of numbers. So
Okay.
Craig Halkett, Kai Rose, Toby Sivic, Stephen Kingsley, Nathaniel Atkinson, Michael Smith, Lewis Nielsen, Cammy Devlin, Andy Halliday, Peter Haring, Benny Beningame, Alan Forrest, Gary Mackay-Stephen, Barry Mackay, Josh Ginnelly, Lawrence Shankland went off, so I don't know if we'll count Shankland, Stephen Humphreys, and Liam Boyce. How many is that? 18 players, right? And most of them, that's just all the players who have missed one game. Most of them have missed more than one. Some of them have missed the whole season in Benny Beningame and basically Craig Halkett. Liam Boyce has missed a majority of the season. Kai Rolls has missed a majority of the season. GMS, I know it's like he's not really played, but he's still missed. He's out for the foreseeable. Gino's been in and out constantly. Humphreys started well and then has missed the last few games. It is.
This is the biggest shambles ever. This is like something in the Romanov era. This is literally like dressing room fulls of players out at a time.
There was 3 games in a row where we played a back 4 of 4 fullbacks.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
In Craig Levine's tenure, when we were dependent on 1 or 2 players, he'd often make, I don't want to say excuses, that might be a bit harsh, but he'd often showcase the point that we had various different players out injured. Is there something that we're doing wrong as a club over the past few years? Or is this just... Because this can't be coincidence, can it?
A lot of them, though, are contact injuries. Like, very few of them are just they're a muscle pull. I can think of Kingsley's most recent one.
Yeah, probably be more in Levine's tenure that were muscle pulls.
Yes, exactly, because they were still running up Ghislaine and doing all that.
The dunes and that. Yeah.
It's just, it is genuinely unprecedented to have both this amount of injuries and in terms of the players getting hurt are all our first team starters. Most of them, like Halkett, Boyce, Benny, Devlin, who did so well last season, have missed such huge parts of the season. It again showcases, so here's the final stat for the domestic season. To compare it to where we were last season, 15 games in, we were actually second, albeit we'd played 2 games more than both first, Rangers, and third, Celtic, and we were 1 point ahead of Celtic, but they had 2 games in hand over us.
That's mad to think that Celtic were in third and now, I mean, the league's virtually done now.
Yeah, exactly.
That just shows the Raj run that they went on.
It's crazy.
They were struggling to make the top 6 after, what, about 6 games?
Something like that, yeah. Crazy.
Unbelievable.
So, on game week 15, this time last season, when that finished, we were on 27 points. So we were 6 points, currently we're 6 points worse off. Considering the fact we basically haven't had a first choice defence for any game this season. We've never had a defence where Cochrane, Kingsley, Halkett, Rolls are all fit at the same time, barring the first game of the season.
I'd love to see our fixtures then, because I can't, like, we were dealt a tricky hand to start last year. That's where I voiced my concerns with regards to us, finishing top 6 or...
And we drew a lot of games. I remember we drew a lot.
But we picked up something like 13 points out the first 15, did we not?
Something like that.
I think Hibs were like our first drop points. Because we got off to an absolute flyer, obviously beating Celtic, St Mirren, Dundee United, if my memory serves.
Yeah. We drew with Ross County.
Somebody else early doors. Can't remember. But that was looking tough.
Yeah.
And if we were under no illusions as to the fact that it would be tough again this year.
Yeah.
With the added fixtures, with the congestion, and with new players that obviously aren't familiar with teammates, need time to sort of develop an understanding, a general cohesion, if you like. So, do you know what? Solid.
I don't think it's nearly as bad as I think we all kind of have felt it's been.
No, it's felt a lot worse because there's some games where we've just been, with all due respect, demolished. Like in Europe in particular.
Oh,
like,
yeah, the
some of
European
them have
games
just
probably
been...
compound it because you're getting
Yeah.
maybe a point away at Killie, but it's come after you get battered. So that week feels way worse than maybe you look at it.
Yeah. And again, like, how many of these European games did we field our strongest 11?
Yeah.
I'd argue probably none.
Probably
really.
None. Apart from probably the first.
Maybe Zurich if we're lucky.
Zurich away because Halkett got hurt, obviously, 6 minutes in.
There you go. And it's just been like a domino effect whereby he gets injured and then there's various others that eventually fall. So, I'm itching to get back. I don't want to wish the time away, but there's a part of me that wants to see. Like, I think we're up for a really good race between ourselves and Aberdeen. I'd be intrigued to see what happens with Miovski. Obviously, we talked about the Rem interest in our last episode. I'd love to know if they've got anybody lined up in January, because I'm sure that they will have.
They do also still have Christian Ramirez.
Yeah, exactly. He's barely featured at all. I'd love to see if we make Stephen Humphreys permanent. I'd love to see if we've got another couple bodies in addition to that. So, do you know what? I'm actually speaking passionately about not only Hearts but the Scottish Premiership. It actually is in a good state as a league. I was very critical of it last season. I thought it was a very poor division, but I actually think that whilst there are still some clubs underperforming, there's some that are punching above their weight, which sort of does. It doesn't replace them in essence, but it makes for a more kind of a trickier league. I think it'll be a greater achievement if we finish third this season as opposed to last. Definitely.
Well, you've perfectly segued by speaking about other players, because the final group I want to speak about is the signings that we've made. So
this is where I could completely contradict myself here, because some of them I'm still unsure.
So here's what I need from you. I'm going to give you each player. So we've made 10 signings.
There's going to be a grade or something.
7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to give you each player their stats for the season. And I want you to grade how they've been halfway through.
I hate this stuff. Right.
A to F. Or no, we'll do 1 to 10. We'll do 1 to 10. Right?
No, but let's do grades, because I can go for pluses, minuses.
Okay,
all that jazz.
That's fair. Right, we'll go with that. So I've tried to do it in the order that they signed. I don't think I've got it spot on, but I've tried to do it this way, because there isn't just a list with the dates. There's a list of all the signings, but it's not in the date that they signed. So the first signing that I've got, which I think is actually wrong, is Alan Forrest.
No, I think that might be right.
That might be right. I can't remember.
I think that might be right.
Alan Forrest, 26, signed on a free, was arguably Livy's player of the season last season. There's also Bruce Anderson. It was those two basically that were playing incredibly well. As I say, free transfer, deal until 2024, has played 23 games in all competitions, contributed 4 goals, and has a Player of the Month award for September. How have you felt Alan Forrest has done?
I would give Alan Forrest a B+.
Fair.
Don't know if that's fair or not, but
I'd maybe go a B. Personally.
Okay, interesting. I think the only thing that is holding Alan Forrest back is, in recent weeks anyway, the lack of game time, really, because it's not. It doesn't seem as though he's featured all that much. Robbie seems to prefer Josh Ginnelly and the seemingly undroppable Barry Mackay recently. So
I would say Gino's is
fair. There.
Mackay's
Yeah. I again totally agree with that. I would like to see Forrest and Ginnelly on the flanks. Maybe Mackay in a central role if we're struggling. I don't know, a little change up of the scene, but B+ for me, because I do like Alan Forrest, and it was a low risk signing, a talented player, so a solid capture that.
Next one was, we dipped back in to the Australian market for the third time and picked up for an unknown fee on transfer. All of this is on Transfermarkt, by the way. So
on my birthday.
If it's wrong, I'm sorry. Yes, on your birthday, Kai Rolls was announced. The 24-year-old signed a deal until 2025. Of course, his injury has curtailed his season a lot, so he's only played 10 games in all competitions. But in those 10 games, he's got a goal, he's got an assist, and he's got 3 Man of the Match awards.
An assist?
I can't remember when the assist is either.
Was it in the St Johnstone game?
It potentially is. I can't remember. But according to Transfermarkt, he has one. But
need some clarification on that. A minus.
I would go to an A.
I knew it. I knew that you would go an A. Why is that?
Because I think out with one player, or 2 players, sorry, when you look at just like the games he's played, he's arguably like you can't give it to him because he's only played 10 games. But he's up there for player of the season.
Yeah, you said that, so that's 1 point. And my only other point, which is again not his doing, like you say, is that we've barely seen him play.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't really give him an A or an A plus, thus an A minus, because other than that,
an A minus.
He's been seemingly perfect. I mean, he's so good.
Well, speaking about
can't wait to watch him. I can't wait to watch him pocket Mbappe tonight.
Exactly, it's going to be excellent. Speaking about another person who's very much impressed was the Love Island announcement of Alex Cochrane, signed on a permanent deal after impressing on loan last year. The 22-year-old signed another deal until 2025. He has played 23 games in all competitions this season, 2 assists, 1 massive miss, loads of player of the match awards. What would you give Alex Cochrane?
Well, it was going to be an A until you mentioned that massive miss. No, I'm only joking. It's got to be an A.
Yeah.
It's got to be an A because he's so good, isn't he?
Yes.
Really, he's just a class act. I love him. I love
he had that month where he was struggling, but because he was having to play centre half alongside Kingsley.
Yeah, that's what I was going to caveat it with. But you know what? And that's leads me into this point. He always looks to get stuck in. It's one of my favourite things. I think that in itself is just a dying breed. Whenever I watch football now, I don't think there's many players that I'm confident they're going to put up a fight. Because Cochrane, like, I look at him, right, and he's not the tallest. He doesn't appear to be the strongest, but that just does not faze him whatsoever. No. I honestly,
that challenge against Motherwell.
I can't remember a player that's so willing to get stuck in. And it's like, but in terms of like a defender,
yeah, no, that's fair.
I can't think because it's a dying breed for me, like I say, and honestly, it's one of my favourite qualities. I've got real admiration for Alex Cochrane, and has arguably been one of, if not the signing of the summer. There, I said it.
I think that's fair for me. Alongside 3 others, he's player of the season contender.
Well, in fairness, this window's either been, shit hot or shit.
Well, funnily enough, we've been very positive thus far. I have a feeling that the positivity might not stick around because we then move on, as we were away on the camp as well. Another player joined, George Grant. So,
oh, God.
A reported 6-figure fee is all we know about his signing. 27-year-old deal again until 2025. I didn't actually realise he signed a 3-year deal. 16 games in all competitions, 1 goal, 1 assist, and I have to mention it, 2 very important red cards. What would you give George Grant?
Did it change the complexion? Well, did they change? It didn't change
the
complexion of the Motherwell game.
No, it did because we got better. We got better.
Oh, yeah, fair. Yeah, so in saying that, that might boost his rating up a bit. Do you know what? Like, all things considered, when you talk about the money that we've spent, the duration of the deal, I'm giving a generous C. He's Ollie Lee, but with a fancy name. He really is.
Disrespect Ollie Lee.
No, I liked Ollie Lee. I'll always be grateful for that goal at Easter Road, my first Easter Road derby, an absolute worldie. But Ollie Lee was slow. George Grant's like a slightly quicker Ollie Lee, but just with a more exotic name. Like there's games where Ollie Lee would be top class, but nobody else would see it. I don't even see that in George Grant. I'm being nice by saying that he's Ollie Lee with a fancy name, because really, he's not even as good as that, or he hasn't been thus far. I hope there's a player in there. I hope that we get to see it, but so far, it's a C at absolute best for me.
I really do apologise for being distracted. Just live on air, Ronaldo's just had his contract terminated with Man United. So
wow,
I do apologise for being distracted there. Yeah, so that's a thing. I know we're speaking about signings. That's a failure of one. That would be an F. That's not a good rating at all.
In fairness, we could do with some depth up front if he fancies it.
I wouldn't take him. I'd rather Humphreys. At least Humphreys would try.
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh,
right.
and Ochoa has saved a penalty at the World Cup from presumably Lewandowski, who I found out has never scored a goal at a World Cup, but he will have by the time that this goes out, so that's great.
Really?
Yeah, apparently so. Or so my pal Sam told me the other day.
Well, that's a stat and a half. Fair play.
There you go.
Anyway, we will continue.
It's all happening.
It's all happening. We'll now move on to a youngster, the youngest of all the signings that we made. Lewis Nielsen joined Hearts on a free, which was up for debate for a while, but it was confirmed to be a free. 19-year-old signed a deal again until 2025. 15 games in all competitions, probably more than both Lewis and Robbie Nielsen would have expected. Yeah. A red card again in the European game. I think, at least for me, Lewis Nielsen's had very high highs and then kind of middles, because there was games where he looked like Maldini, and then games where he just kind of was like, oh yeah, that's a guy who's still got a lot to learn.
This is where I'm struggling on the grade scale. Did you give a grade for George Grant?
No, sorry, I didn't, because I was distracted by
Ronaldo.
I would go with a C as well. I think that's fair.
Yeah. And for Lewis Nielsen?
I'd go a B-, because
Same.
I think
I'd go along with that.
I think in the games he's been good, he's been so good, and for his age, it's way above the levels I expected him to be at.
He needs a loan move somewhere, I think.
I don't think he does.
I think he does. I think he does. Like a championship contender or something, I think would stand him in good stead.
I would say, though, whenever he's played with a senior partner beside him, he's been fantastic.
That's fair. How confident would you then feel if he was in a trio with Rolls and Halkett? Would that not work?
I'd feel very confident, yeah, because he's got both of them to speak him through.
At the centre of that trio for you?
Yeah. No, Halkett in the middle, Nielsen on the
right,
yeah,
Rolls on the left.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I think a lot's been asked of him that
it's like
wasn't
you say,
expected to be.
He's either been absolutely top. I mean, he's 19 years of age.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs to settle down.
He's 3 years younger than you and Henderson.
I'm not being funny. Everybody's expecting him to be like Jude Bellingham levels because he's tearing up the World Cup. Like, he's 19.
Yeah.
I hate like the criticism from some Hearts fans that don't acknowledge that he's still a young defender learning his trade. It's going to take time. Everybody just needs to settle down. I personally think a loan move would do him good elsewhere. You've argued not. So that just goes to show that he's by no means the finished article. He's nowhere near the finished article. There's people that have varying views, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, going from a youngster to someone about to hit his prime, and I think the positivity will come back as probably the biggest high-profile signing of the summer was the arrival of Lawrence Shankland. We paid €470,000 for him.
Worth every penny.
From Beerschot. The 26-year-old again signed a deal until 2025. So far played 24 games in all competitions with 12 goals and 2 assists. Also, 6 yellow cards.
Really?
He loves a booking.
Do you think that's just an angry celebration thing?
No, because none of them have been for that. It's all been dissent. 5 of them were for dissent.
You might not have listened to it, but it was on Go Radio last week. On Wednesday night. Mark Guidi and Stephen McGinn were in the studio. You could get the Go Radio football podcast wherever you get your podcast. And he was on the Wednesday night, I think. And he was chatting about the fact that the Australians weren't even trucking out of challenges and training, and like they're obviously expecting them still to play. And I thought that you'd love that. I meant to send it to you, but I didn't. And he was asked specifically about. I think Steve McGinn asked us specifically about Cammy Devlin. I was like, no, he's just exactly the same. It's like, yes, but I love him so much. I really do. I've been a long-term admirer. He's top. He's really good. A signing I wanted, and a signing that is living up to my expectations, arguably maybe even exceeding them. I just like, for Lawrence's sake, for the burden to not be solely on him. Mm-hmm. We want Liam Boyce back. We want Stephen Humphreys back, and ideally on a permanent deal, please, Santa. I know that Christmas is next month. That's what I'll be asking for Christmas. So, yeah. So, like, it's so tough. I would go an A. Up there with Cochrane, an A. Yeah.
I'd go an A. He was one of the players he's one of 4 players that I think is up for player of the season. The other isn't a signing. I would say Devlin's up there as well, just because of how excellent he was. He was our best player in
brought in the summer with Rolls,
Cochrane and Shankland.
Yeah.
Shankland has massively exceeded my expectations more in his all-round play. I just assumed, because of everything I hadn't really watched much of him. I was just like, oh, he's a penalty box striker. That's what he does. But his all-round game is fantastic. He's so tireless. Again, his fitness, which was, when he was younger, one of the things he was criticised for, not a problem at all for us. He just keeps on going. And absolutely fair play. Will he get to 20 goals in the league? I'm putting you on the spot now.
You've done it. I mean, I have to back him. I've been the one that's been singing off Shankland's sheet for ages.
I think in the league he's played 15, scored 9.
9 and 15.
It's a very good. If he keeps that up, he will.
Yeah.
He will do
it. Let's see.
No, I'm putting you on the spot. You need to say yes or no.
Yeah, of course I'm going to say yes.
Right, cool.
But we said this about Liam Boyce last season, and look how that turned out. So
true. Right. Well, we moved from one signing that we spent money on.
But do you think he'll hit 20?
No. Not because of him. Not because of him. I'm just assuming...
You just feel that goals are going to be spread elsewhere?
No, I'm assuming he's going to join the injury list at some point.
Oh, great. When we come back to this in April and he's been ruled out,
I'll say this. If he stays fit and plays the amount of games he has, I think he will.
Come on, do it for me.
It's
been far too long. John bloody Robertson.
We've never seen one. We've literally never seen one.
Think of all the seemingly shite, but also quite good centre forwards that we've seen, and none of them have.
Yeah, Lafferty and Boyce and Rudy and Hartley are the 4 that got closest. It's so impressive that Hartley got close. It's insane. But anyway, we move from one person that we spent 470 grand on to one person that we reportedly spent 400 grand on, even though I've not actually had that. I've seen figures as low as 250. I've seen figures as high as just under 500. Transfer marks have it at 400. But anyway, Arestis Kiyomotozoglou arrived in the summer. It felt like it took him 9 months to arrive because he's permit.
No, he arrived quickly. It was that first defeat.
So the 24-year-old, again, he's way younger than I thought. I thought he was in his kind of later 20s. He's actually younger than me and the same age as you, which again kind of puts it into perspective a wee bit, that I think some people have been a bit harsh on him, expecting him to be the finished article. He's only actually played 11 games. What would you give Keogh thus far? Another player who I think has had high highs and low lows.
What would I give him? C+.
I was going to say C+ as well. I think that's fair.
I think I've just found out that he is a month and 2 days older than me.
So he's still older than you. You've still got that. You've got that. He's not older than me. I'm older than
him. But yeah, the fee is the big thing for me. I just feel like if we'd got George Grant and Kieran Ogley for free, they'd have been seen as stopgaps. The fact that we've bought them for the dough that we've supposedly spent is the biggest thing that's holding them back for me.
That's fair.
Simultaneously. I can't say any more or any less than that. To me, Kieran Ogley looks like a slightly more mobile Peter Haring thus far. I don't know your thoughts because obviously you love Peter Haring. So
I think you say that though, and it means different things to me because I'd take that. Like I know you wouldn't.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So
in fairness,
I
thought Big Pete up until this season was decent, but
he was more than decent up until this season.
But this season, whenever I watched him, I'm just like, this is just a fraction of the player that we used to know.
Well, I hope he's okay with his concussion because it's
now you're just somebody that I used to know.
Wow.
So yeah, I do hope that he's okay. I love you, really, Pete. We went through some tricky times. You stuck around.
That's tricky times is putting it lightly. Tricky times is finishing sixth.
Oh, I'm trying to put a positive spin on things here. I get criticised when I'm trying to be positive, and I get criticised when I criticise.
Yeah.
I can't even win.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the way it works. So, I think we'll end pretty much basically on positivity. We'll get to one where I don't actually know what... This is the rating I have no idea what you're going to give. Because I don't know how you can give a rating. Because we move on to the free transfers at the end of the window. We made 2 of them.
Right, okay.
One of which came as a surprise, but a welcome one, as we finally got a proper, no disrespect to Ross Stewart, a proper backup goalkeeper in the form of Xander Clark, who, of course...
Who are you kidding? That's every disrespect.
No, because I really like Ross Stewart, right? Because not as I think he's fine. He's fine as a player, but
he's fine.
That Celtic.
I think he's fine.
Right?
He's fine.
That performance, but as a guy, he seems quite. You need them. You need them in the dressing room, right? So fair play to Ross Stewart. But Xander Clark left St Johnstone on a free. Reportedly got offered from Dundee United and stuff like that.
Stoke.
Nothing really. Yes, Stoke. Nothing really materialised, and he just turned up at Gorgie. The problem is he's not played a second yet. So more give the grade on what you hope he'll be, or in terms of
it's a simple. I'm gonna give you 2 letters here, and that's NA, non-applicable.
Yeah,
let's move on. I can't. Like what? This is nonsense. Let's move on.
Yeah, that's very
something
fair.
that I want to talk about. Absolute caviar.
Well, wait, because the big news is that 2 of our boys are starting tonight.
Oh, the Aussies!
It is
the back 4. The 2
Nathaniel Atkinson and Kai Rolls are starting against France. Also, Kai Rolls is being partnered by Harry Souttar. So it's just...
Wow.
It's
what
all
a time to be alive. Oh, this SPFL past and present. Oh, we were saying this before we came on air. Let's just say it now out in the open. The Australia squad for this World Cup is the greatest World Cup squad I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Fair. Absolutely. Anyway, back to we've only got 2 left. One of them is a bit on the older side, the oldest player in the squad, barring Craig Gordon, and it is the arrival of Robert Snodgrass on a free. Both the free transfers were quite surprising. The 34-year-old joined in a year contract. He's played 9 games, all domestically, with 3 assists. I think all 3 are for Andy Halliday, which is an interesting little tidbit, I think. At least 2 of them are. I can't think of the third one.
Yeah, I think you might be right. The 2 corners...
I can't even think of the other assist.
Game,
I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember.
Kelly? Was it Kelly sliding through for Humphreys?
No, he sends it long Humphreys. So apologies. 2 for Halliday and 1 for Humphreys.
On fire. Sorry, just having a look at that Australia team.
Yes.
It's an all this midfield, Cammy Devlin, Jackson Irvine, Aaron Moy, and Riley McCree. Obviously, all former Celtic or linked with Celtic in Riley McCree's case. And it's an all SPFL.
Starting?
No, I'm looking at, Irvine, Moy, and McGree. Like, that's
right.
Past and present Celtic, somebody that's linked with Celtic.
Yep.
And the back 4 is Behich of Dundee United, Rolls and Atkinson of Hearts, and Harry Souttar that was once at Ross County. Honestly, that is an elite squad. And they're taking on the reigning world champions.
Hey, they don't have Benzema or In Cuckoo.
And Kunku.
Yeah.
Exactly. The rim of the shout. Sorry, Robert Snodgrass.
Robert Snodgrass.
Tangents are plenty here. Robert Snodgrass is a wonderful footballer. A really wonderful footballer. One of my favourite signings. It really has been. He's vastly exceeded my expectations. I was somewhat doubtful. I always knew that he was a top player. Like when you watch him for Leeds, West Ham, I think in particular, had a spell at Aston Villa as well for a while. Did he play for West Brom? Can't remember.
No,
West Brom.
He played for Luton.
Luton, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been very, very good. Very good. I think a phenomenal tutor for the young guns that we've got in the squad, particularly in midfield. Just got a really lovely left peg.
He did play for West Brom. I'm right. I knew he did.
Yeah,
in my head, I was like, I swear he did play for West Brom.
Don't remember him at West Brom. Must have been absolutely hopeless. But
he played 14 games.
There you go. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is a wonderful career, and hopefully that'll rub off on some of our young pups.
Definitely. And then finally, the one loan signing we've made, and the one person that was a lot of the rhetoric around this man was panic buy, kind of last minute, because it was done with 2 days left of the transfer window as Liam Boyce.
Ryan Stevenson doppelganger?
Exactly. However, Stephen Humphreys has come in and been very good. So he's on loan, obviously, 24-year-old. He's only played 10 games in all competitions, 2 goals, which were back-to-back. However, the goals for a striker...
against Kilmarnock and Fiorentina. Yeah, that is the most unbelievable sentence ushered to man.
Yeah, it makes no sense. When you look at it on the face, 2 goals in 10 games for a striker isn't great, but I think it's one of those situations where if you watch the games, you can see how good Humphreys has been. So what would you give?
And there's been instances where he's come off the bench, maybe taken up a wide berth as well. I would give Stephen Humphreys... This might be generous, but I'm thinking A-.
Same as Rolls. Played the exact same amount of games.
Yeah, and they've both been really good. Obviously, Rolls has just been for injury. Stephen Humphreys is because, one, we've not got him on a permanent deal, so he could fall under, let's think, Ricardo Fuller, Lee Miller, Ellis Sims, all these other loanees, Jimmy Dunn.
Yeah.
Like all these other loanees that we fall in love with, David Milinkovic, and just never come back. And it would break my heart if that were the case. But with Wigan's financial situation, might we make something happen? I don't know. I'd like for that to see it, because in the 10 games that he's played, he's been very, very good. And gives us something different in that final third. I think it gives us the potential to go 2 up. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'd like to see it happen. Certainly, looking by his socials, he wants to make it happen as well. Which
he loves us.
He really does, which is nice to see. So, yeah, if you're watching, Joe Savage, nice choice. Get it done on a permanent, please.
Did you give a rating to Snodgrass?
No, I didn't. I will give him a A.
Wow. Bloody hell. You're a fan.
He's been that good.
You're a fan.
Big fan.
Right, well, overall then, I'd like a rating for the season thus far. So we've went into analysis on both the European and domestic.
Are we talking transfers or just
everything? The season overall. Actually, I want 2 then. I want a rating of the transfer window and then a rating of the season.
Why did you say that? Why did you say that?
You said it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying that to myself.
All right, to yourself.
Transfers B.
B.
Okay. I was going to give a B-, but I'll give B. And the season on the whole, I'm flirting between an A- and a B+. I will go A-. Why not?
Wow. See, I'm glad that we got some positivity from you. Right at the very end.
Only taking 100+ episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Will the positivity continue into the quiz?
Absolutely not.
Right, let's see what happens. I have no idea how hard these questions are.
Come on, Adam. Get a grip. I need to redeem myself because it was the last quiz that I had and I dropped that nuke. So come on, fix up. Sort your shit out.
His previous performance was a 0 out of 5. Can he do better by even just getting 1? If he does, it's an acceptable score.
Honestly, the pressure will be relieved if I get this first question correct. That's what I'm aiming for.
Come on. Right. So, there's 5 questions. Who am I? Multiple choice. True or false? 2 normal ones. We start with the multiple choice to give you the best possible opportunity to get a point to start with. So,
this is not good.
How many goals in total were scored in all of Hearts' Europa Conference League games?
Oh my God.
Is it A, 18? Is it B, 20? Is it C, 22? Or is it D, 24?
Right, let's get the calculator out. So, Riga, we won 2-0 and 2-1. So that's 5 straight off the bat. I want you to get my pen down and do some writing here. Conceded 8 to Fiorentina. That's 13. Scored 1. 14. Then Istanbul, we lost 3-1 over there. So that's another 4. So that's what, 22? And the home game, we lost 4-0. Did you say 26 is one of the options?
No, so you've done your maths wrong.
Oh no, lost. Sorry, I need to get a pen down and write all this nonsense, man.
These are the options. A, 18. But no, wait, no. You can't do written maths. No, it's mental arithmetic. You see if you can do it.
Okay, what are the options?
A, 18. B, I think by your maths, you've written off 18. So we'll go with
I'm now down to 3. Don't try and do this, because then I'll look like an idiot when I inevitably choose the wrong one.
So, B, 20. C, 22. D, 24.
But it's got to be 24. It has to be 24.
Are you going with 24?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I need an answer.
Did we concede 21 goals? How many did we score? No, we scored 5. Yeah, I'm going the highest. Yeah.
You're incorrect. It is C, 22.
I hate myself.
We conceded 16. We scored 6.
Did we concede 16?
Yep. 4-0 off Istanbul at home.
1 to Riga. 4. Yeah. 7 to Istanbul. 5, 8 to Florida. Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Maths is let him down at the start. Right, he's 0 for 1.
My mental maths is good. I'm blaming fatigue. Jesus.
Now, according to Transfermarkt, who we went through all this, who is our most valuable player in the squad according to the Transfermarkt market value tracker?
I have no idea. I'm trying to think of everything in terms of like international recognition. Maybe like age has got to be on their side for market value.
Yeah, they take into account a lot of things.
I would suspect it would be somebody like Cammy Devlin.
Is that your answer?
No.
Okay.
I'm thinking out loud here. But then attacking players are bound to be of more value. Oh, I've got no idea, mate. I'll go Devlin because he popped in my head first. I don't know.
You're incorrect. I was actually going to be nice to you if you got, because there's technically 4 players who are joint. So there is, the actual answer is Stephen Kingsley.
Oh, really?
Right? However, if you had guessed either
Stephen Kingsley as well,
Barry Mackay, Benny Beningame, or unbelievably Nathaniel Atkinson, I would have given you, even though they're not top, they're all joint top.
Honestly, literally, those first 3, I would never have guessed Natty Atkinson, I've got to be honest. But the other 3 I was considering, I thought the age might do Kingsley and Mackay.
Right.
But Benny has, because he's still quite young. Oh, Jesus.
Right, 0 for 2.
Oh, this is going to be a donut. I'm fuming at that first question. You do not understand how angry that has made me.
Question number 3. Craig Gordon has played the most amount of minutes for Hearts this season, but who has played the second most?
Is this just an off the bat?
Yep.
Oh,
I think, personally,
God.
it's quite obvious.
I will
There's a
go.
clue.
I will go Barry Mackay.
Oh, you're so unlucky. Because this person's played 12 minutes more than Barry Mackay. The actual answer is Alex Cochrane.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Think logically, McIver's mate.
And he played like every because we had no defenders and he was the only one fit.
Why did Robbie drop Barry Mackay for Ibrox? I could have been right.
The only game that Cochrane has missed was his ceremony suspension once he got sent off at Celtic Park.
No, this quiz is a shambles. Why did I put forward this quiz idea? I've literally been shafted in 2 back-to-back.
Right. I've
been unlucky here.
You've got the true or false now.
I'm going to get this wrong. I can feel it.
Right. True or false?
I'm hopeless at this.
Andy Halliday is currently on a fine goal-scoring form this season, but he has only ever had one season in his career where he's scored more goals than he currently has this season. True or false?
I'm going to go true, and I bet that it's the Rangers championship season.
It is false. He's had 2 seasons where he scored more than he currently has.
This is a fix. This is actually a fix. Like, what's the point?
I've never known someone so bad in 50-50 scenarios.
This is a shambles. No, we're not publishing this episode.
Yes,
no, we're not. This is staying in the drafts. We're just wasting an hour. This is nonsense.
It's all down to the who am I,
which I'll inevitably get wrong because you've labelled this the easiest who am I of all time.
Can he stop himself?
Oh, get your thinking cap on.
Can he stop himself going back-to-back 0 for 5s?
That's not embarrassing.
Right. I am one of 11 children. I have...
What? What is that for a start?
It's a good one. I am one of 11 children. I have played for over 10 clubs. I have played exactly 15 games for 3 sides, one of which is Hearts. In my debut for Hearts, I scored twice inside 3 minutes. And I have a very recognisable feature. Who am I?
Twice in 3 minutes on your debut?
Yes.
Who has 11 kids? I think I know who this player is. But I'm gonna. No. I'm not diving in. Not a chance am I diving in. Does this? No, don't ask that. Don't. Come on, think logically. Can I have the clubs that this player played for McIver, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Solvsborg GOIF. They're Swedish.
Never heard of them.
Kalmar, also Swedish. Red Star Belgrade. Vitesse. Hearts. Atromitos. Grinspor. AEL. Panathinaikos. No, not Panathinaikos. Panetolikos. Apollo Sirmanas and Mohammedan.
Not a clue. Great. I actually thought that this was going to be like Armand Nambuli. I was waiting on you saying Blackpool, so that rules him out.
Because he scored twice.
Yeah, I've got Abiola Dowd on my head, but that can't be right.
Right.
But then
anybody else?
No, was his debut in Dingwall, because he did score twice up in Dingwall.
Yeah.
When did this player sign for Hearts?
Is that your second question?
Yes, please.
He signed in 2016.
It fucking is Abiola Dowd, isn't it?
Is that your answer?
I really don't know. I'm so scared. 2016. When did Osman Sow leave? Yeah, that would have been around Sow leaving, was it not? And he was Robbie's replacement. Robbie was adamant that Abiola Dowd would be better than Osman, so I'm going to stick with Abiola Dowd because I've got the fear. Please just tell me that I'm right. Oh no.
He's guessed Abiola Dowda in order to avoid
Oh,
back-to-back
no.
blowouts. And he's got it bloody right.
Yes! Come on! Have that!
As I said,
Yes!
I said this to Adam last week. I was going to... It's kind of...
Oh, that's alleviated such pressure.
I don't know why you asked your second question, considering last week I told you they played with us within the last 6 years.
I had to know exactly when.
True.
Because
In fairness, yeah,
that was it. I thought to myself, 2016, as soon as you said that, I was confident. Was his debut up in Dingwall? Yeah.
He scored on the 10th of February 2016. He made his debut away at Ross County and scored in the 83rd and 86th minute.
3-0 win?
3-1.
3-1.
Yes.
Who got Hearts' other goal that day? Was it Jamie Walker?
It was Jamie Walker.
Hey, see, how can I do that? But I can't produce in the quiz.
But you can't get a true or false right.
Oh, thank God, honestly.
I thought you'd get it on the last clue, the very recognisable feature, because when he was a child, he had the
tears,
little scars below his eyes.
They looked like tears. I always thought he was greeting because he was sent up here. So
no, he had it was done when he was a kid.
And it was Vitesse that we signed him from, is that right?
Yeah, on loan. Yep.
Yeah.
So you did it. You're 1 for 10 in the last two quizzes.
Yeah, not that that's anything to shout about. But come on, like, that was unlucky, that quiz. I was unlucky.
6-3 in the Who Am I's. You're clawing it back.
I'm relieved. I'm relieved I got that Who Am I. I'm relieved that, it wasn't a back-to-back donut, but I need to step up my game. I do feel as though I was grazing the post a couple of times there. I could have a hat-trick easy in that game, but that's just what happens.
But you got a consolation at the end.
I got a consolation goal. It means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things, and I've celebrated as though one of our Aussies has bagged the winner in the World Cup.
Exactly. Well, we hope you have enjoyed this mid-season review. We won't be back for a while because obviously there's no games, so we're taking a time off. But we may have one special one-off episode. We don't want to promise anything just because of logistics and stuff like that. So do keep an eye out. But obviously,
we're the kings of promising stuff.
I know.
We're still waiting on our 100th episode guest coming on.
We'll get that
sorted soon.
Yeah, that will hopefully be soon.
We've got another potentially in the pipeline, but
yes,
we'll wait and see.
We'll see. At the very least, though, we'll be back once Hearts are back. So the week before Christmas, we'll hopefully be back with an episode. But we hope you have enjoyed this one. Please let us know how you feel the season has went so far. It would be really interesting to see if you agree with us, if you think we're idiots as usual. That would be very interesting to hear. But as ever, if you have enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe and comment if you've been watching it on YouTube to just see Adam have a breakdown in the quiz at the very end there. If you've just been listening to it, you're missing out. But please do leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. It massively helps. What are you holding your hands up for?
Apologies, all headphone users.
Yeah, true. I'm going to have to edit the audio.
You'll have seen that on YouTube, but I did go nuts because I needed that. I do apologise.
We are at Perth to Paisley on all forms of social media, and you can get us on the email perthtopaisley@gmail.com. Adam, where can they get you on social media to laugh at your failure in quizzes?
You could get me on all the socials at Adam T. Kendall to laugh at my failure in quizzes, to see all my Abiola Dowda propaganda. What about yourself?
I'm at DMcIver22. We'll be back soon. We hope you enjoy the break. Enjoy the World Cup. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Catch you.